They call him Matty Ice down there in the ATL, but get ready to meet the Defrosters. Fletcher Cox, Benny Logan, Cedric Thornton, Vinnie Curry, Brandon Graham, Connor Barwin, Kiko Alonso, and Michael Kendricks are going to be bringing the heat all freaking night. Is it Monday yet? I can't wait. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedque. We are a mere days away now. The regular season starts tonight. It is Thursday. We're back to football. Finally. What do you think, Mike?
Well, yesterday the Eagles came out with their official, pump-up video for the season. And, they did the right thing by featuring Brian Dawkins in it. And, Brian Dawkins was like Shakespeare in it. And it gets you really pumped up for the season. So, we're here Thursday night. The games start tonight with the Steelers and Patriots playing. So football is back. And here we are in 2015 doing our first week preview against the Falcons.
Yeah, dude, this is awesome. Oh, man. And when I think of Falcons-Eagles, I think of Brian Dawkins laying the boom on Algie Crumpler. And laying the boom is a fitting name because you got Dan Quinn now as the head coach of the Falcons coming over from Seattle and that vaunted Legion of Boom secondary. But I think, the guy that everybody's afraid of here in Philadelphia and the lone guy that everybody's afraid of is Julio Jones. So let's talk about that for a second. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, probably the only things that Atlanta has on offense. On defense, all they have is really Desmond Trufant. But let's start with the offense. What do you think about Julio Jones?
Well, Julio Jones is a guy that could cause us problems. He's a guy that we have to worry about. And the Eagles went out in the offseason and they signed Byron Maxwell to a pretty, damn big contract. So they're really hoping that Maxwell can, live up to that potential. Now, Maxwell probably won't live up to the money that he's getting paid. But we have to hope that, Maxwell can do a decent job on Julio Jones. And, this is a good, starting test for Maxwell. Really, jump into the fire right away because Maxwell is going to have to go against, guys like Odell Beckham and Dez Bryant in our division. So this is a good start.
Oh, it's a great start. Great test right out of the chute. And, I'm just hoping that Eagles fans don't jump off the bridge if he struggles against Jones.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right because I can see Maxwell maybe struggling a little bit in this game. I mean, it's his first game with the Eagles. He was really never the main guy there in Seattle. Richard Sherman stole the spotlight there. So, this is going to be his first game where he's really the main guy, and he's going to have to shut down the Falcons' top weapon in Julio Jones. So it's going to be quite the task for Maxwell. You can probably expect Julio Jones to get a touchdown or two.
Yeah, I agree. And, the other thing you got to take into account is, Quinn, obviously, he coached Maxwell there in Seattle, so I'm sure he knows all of his weaknesses. And I'm sure that there's going to be, in their game plan, they're going to try to exploit him. So we'll see, man. I mean, it's a very sexy matchup, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a matchup that people are going to be watching on Monday night. Obviously, the media is going to hype up Bradford, and they're going to want to talk about that. But, really one of the big matchups of the game will be, Julio Jones versus Byron Maxwell.
Yeah, and this all kind of ties in together because I think, I know everybody wants to see Bradford, DeMarco Murray, Kiko Alonso, all the guys making their regular season debuts for the Birds. But I think the key to the game is our front seven going up against their offensive line. And the reason why I say this is their offensive line is not very good. And obviously our front seven, we led – well, not led, but we were second in the league in sacks last year. So I am expecting a ton of heat put on Matt Ryan. And if this happens, it makes Jones's route tree a lot more predictable because they're going to have to run shorter patterns. Obviously, if you don't have time to throw, you can't get anything downfield. So I'm expecting like hitches, maybe some crosses, some slants. I mean, if they can take away the deeper stuff, it's going to make Maxwell's job a lot easier.
Well, Maxwell is definitely hoping that the Eagles can get that pressure on Ryan because, like you said, it'll make his job a lot easier out there on the outside against Julio Jones. And really, you go into this game, and that's the biggest thing, is this, Falcons offensive line, which is, relatively new. Chemistry is going to be a big thing with this Falcons offensive line because 3/5 of their offensive line is new guys that they have acquired in the offseason. Only ones that are left over from last season are their starting tackles. And the other thing is Benny Logan could end up having a field day in this game because, I mean, he's going up a guy who has never started a game in the NFL, and that is Mike Person is starting at center for the Falcons. So if I was the Falcons, I would be a little bit worried about that matchup after watching Benny Logan in the preseason.
Just run down their line really quick. Jake Matthews at left tackle. Andy Levitre just brought over from the Titans. They acquired him in a trade. That's a good get for them. I'll get back to him in a second. Mike Person, like you said, he's going to start at center. Chris Chester was acquired in the offseason. He's a starter at right guard. And I think the only legitimate piece that they have on their line, I actually like Ryan Schrader, their right tackle. He's pretty solid. So, but going back to Levitre, he's a good guard, but what can you really expect from him? He was acquired last week. You really think he's going to be able to pick up on all the different traits and all the things that the Falcons want to do on that offensive line? There's no way. It's going to take him about a month. And, he's definitely an upgrade over what they had, but he's not ready for this. No way.
No, not at all. And, that's that goes back to this chemistry thing. And, with a Person playing center there, it's going to be tough. I mean, he's going to be running the show. And, for a guy who hasn't started, that's a tough task going against, arguably the best defensive line in the NFL.
Yeah. And like I said, I wanted to get back to Jake Matthews as well. Rookie last year really, really struggled. The rookie tackles over recent years have just not been good, really. That was a position that used to be a short thing. When you drafted a tackle, you knew that you had a piece to build around on your line for the next decade, but it hasn't been that way. Eric Fisher stinks. He just got, demoted. Luke Jokel, he's not any good. Last year, Greg Robinson and now Jake Matthews, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a tough task for him going up against Brandon Graham. So, you got him on that side. You got Connor Barwin going up against Schrader, Benny Logan. I mean, who's going to block freaking Fletcher Cox? I mean, I don't see how they're going to be able to contain our front seven.
Well, that's really, our biggest strength going into this game is our front seven against their offensive line. So you can expect the Eagles to really bring the heat in this game. And, by doing that, they should be able to get to Matt Ryan relatively quick. And that'll help out, like we said before, Maxwell covering Julio Jones.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Sam Bradford now. We are just eagerly anticipating, chomping at the bit to watch him make his debut on Monday night. I mean, Mike, I think you agree with me. I've watched that Green Bay game, that first half. I've probably watched it like 26 times. It is just awesome watching that game over and over again, watching Bradford play. So what can we expect from him on Monday night? What are you thinking?
Well, I think that Bradford is he's going to go out there, and I'm expecting him to light it up. I think that he's got a very favorable matchup going against this Atlanta defense. I really think that the Eagles, they just have so many weapons that he's going to be able to utilize And really, the main guy to watch is going to be Sproles. I think you're going to see, Bradford rely a lot on Sproles in this game because, Sproles is going to end up going out in the slot and be a receiver most of the time. So he'll be a nice security blanket for Bradford. So you could maybe see a lot of Sproles early on, a lot of screen passes maybe just to get Bradford back in the swing of a regular season game. But, I'm going to go with 3 or 4 touchdowns from Bradford. I think he'll have a good night.
This is the perfect matchup for Bradford. It really is. It's a defense that doesn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They had 22 sacks last season. That was the second fewest in the league. Croy Bierman led the unit with just 4.5. They were dead last against the pass. So we make fun of how bad our secondary was last year. Bradley Fletcher, Kerry Williams, well, they're even freaking worse. I mean, I know they got Desmond Trufant. He's a top-tier upper echelon cornerback, but other than him, they got nothing. Robert Alford, come on. Jalen Collins is a second-round rookie. He's not ready. So I think, I agree with you. 3 or 4 touchdowns. I'm going to say 4. I think he's going to have a field day. He's not going to – I don't know if, his jersey is not going to have any rubber pellets on it because they're not going to touch him.
Wow, well, that's the thing. I mean, it's another, good matchup for Bradford because he gets to go and play on the fast turf there in the Dome in Atlanta. So, that's why I think that he'll excel too. But, yeah, not much on defense for the Falcons except, Trufant, like you were talking about. And then you go and you look at their safeties. Ricardo Allen is a guy that didn't even get to play last year. And then you have William Moore, who's kind of more experienced. But I would expect the Eagles to really go after, Ricardo Allen a lot early on. So expect them to attack him.
Yeah. I do like what the Falcons did in the offseason. Bringing in, they brought in some guys, some decent talent. Vic Beasley was taken in the first round of the draft. They brought in Tyson Jackson on the D-line, Adrian Claiborne, Justin Duran as a linebacker, O'Brien Schofield, Brooks Reed, even though Reed's not going to play on Monday night. So they have some pieces there. But the thing that we got to take into account, and this is something that we know about because it happened with us a few years ago with Billy Davis. So when you bring in a new coach and a new defensive scheme, it takes a little while for, everyone to gel together and learn the system. So it usually takes about half the season until you see results. And while they do look better on paper, they're not ready for this offense.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that all goes to a chemistry thing again. And then you could go and you can make the same point about the Eagles. I mean, look at the Eagles, total overhaul in the offseason. But judging from the preseason, it doesn't look like the Eagles are going to have a chemistry issue at all. So I wouldn't expect that to be a problem for the Eagles. But, Atlanta, you talk about, Vic Beasley. Now, he's the other guy that the Eagles are going to watch out for. Obviously, he was unbelievable player there at Clemson, and you're gonna expect him to bring a lot of pressure on Bradford. So Eagles are gonna have to make sure that they've got that extra protection in there, and they keep Bradford upright.
Yeah, and Bradford's not the only one making his regular season debut with the Eagles. We got Kiko Alonso and DeMarco Murray as well, Ryan Matthews, a bunch of guys. Byron Maxwell, we talked about him earlier. Let's go to DeMarco Murray now. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about this running game because what we expect from the Eagles, we expect it to be that Chip Kelly Oregon offense using multiple running backs, pounding the ball down your throat. So what do you expect from DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews on Monday night?
Well, I expect DeMarco Murray to really, be a good player for this team. It was a great pickup for the Eagles to go and steal him away from the Cowboys. Now he even though he led the NFL in rushing last year, he's not one of your elite running backs, but judging from the preseason, it looks like DeMarco Murray will, fit just fine with this Eagles offense. You could tell right away that Murray was, ready to go and a great fit for this Eagles offense. And then you get a guy like Matthews, who, I mean, he's probably a starter on, most teams in this league. So you really have, two starting running backs that, they're going to interchange off and on. So keep them fresh. And I'm really excited to see what these guys can do this year and see what numbers they can put up, because it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, when you combine the decisive one-cut running of DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews, and you have Sam Bradford, who I think is going to have a clean pocket to throw out of all night, and when he gets a clean pocket, he's surgical. So I don't know how they're going to stop our offense. A 50 burger is possible. We can put up 50 points on this defense. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, well, really, the main thing, Chip Kelly, he's really a run-first type of guy. And you saw this in the preseason, especially against the Packers. The reason that they had so much success in that game was their ability to get, those productive yards in the running game on first down. We've always said this about the Chip Kelly offense. First down is the biggest down in his offense to get the flow going. And I think with Murray and Matthews, they're going to be able to get 3 or 4 yards on first down. And that'll really, set the offense up for success.
Yeah, I mean, it's a point that we stress all the time, but it is so imperative too. So you got to keep stressing it. McCoy on first down, so many times he tried to dance in the backfield and he'd lose 2 or 3 yards. Now, I've said this before, McCoy's a better running back than DeMarco Murray. There's no doubt in my mind. But for this offense, McCoy really wasn't a great fit because, all right, so instead of having 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6 with Murray and Matthews, a lot of times you'd have like a 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12 for McCoy. And that led to a lot of 3 and outs. And the other thing that's going to improve with this offense this year is our red zone touchdown percentage, because once McCoy got inside the 10, he struggled to punch it into the end zone, but that's not going to be a problem with Murray and Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember, the Cardinals game, the 49ers game last year. All you need is, 1 yard in those situations. And they, with the offensive line, the way it was in that San Francisco game, Chip didn't feel confident running the ball at McCoy. But, judging from the preseason now with Murray and Matthews, I mean, the way that they're scoring touchdowns on the ground, I mean, they're going in untouched. And that's what you really look for. It's a preseason, yes. But if they're, you look at the blocking, and if they're going they're making that one cut and getting into the end zone untouched, that's key. And, that's really going to be a key factor for the season going forward, is being able to execute in the red zone. So look for a lot of Murray and Matthews, and even especially Sproles in the red zone.
Yeah, completely agree. And before we get to Kiko Alonso's debut, let's talk, a little bit quickly about the offensive line. And, during the preseason, leading up to the preseason, we were concerned about the guard spots. And I think we'll be okay with Alan Barbary and Andrew Gardner. And I just wanted to bring this up really quick. I don't know who Gardner's agent is, but he should be fired. We got Gardner 3 years for like $4 million. That is a steal.
Yeah, well, it's a great deal for the Eagles, because they were able to lock up Gardner for a reasonable price. And they don't have to worry about Gardner going out and having a great year this year and then asking for a lot of money. So it was really worked out for the Eagles. If you would have told me before, training camp that they would be giving Gardner an extension, and you would have told me that money, I would have probably thought that that was a horrible deal. But Gardner is a guy he's shocked me. He's turned it around the most on this team, I think, from last season.
I completely agree. He by far surprised me more than anybody during the preseason. He really did.
Yeah, and there's a reason why he got the extension. I mean, obviously, the Eagles recognize that, so they gave him the money. So yeah, but it's nice to have him locked up now.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Kiko now. Making his regular season debut as well. He got one series in the preseason, played against the Jets. Looked a little bit rusty, but you can see the talent. You can see the athleticism. So let's talk about Alonso now. What are you expecting from him on Monday night?
Well, I'm still expecting him to have that long hair. I don't think that's going anywhere soon. So you can expect the long hair from Alonso all season long, and you could also expect to see that long hair, flapping in the wind as he makes some outstanding plays. But let's tamper our expectations a little bit here early on in the season, because I think it's gonna take some time for Alonso to get used to the new system and get used to playing football again. I mean, he played maybe 9 or 10 snaps in a preseason game. So that's not going to do it. He needs to get into regular season action, and so yeah, you can expect a little bit of rust in this game from Alonso.
No, I completely agree. And on Monday, those lovely locks of his, they're going to be flowing in the air conditioning at the Georgia Dome. So no wind, just a little bit of air conditioning.
That's right, the air conditioning for this first game in Atlanta. And you talk about Alonso, and then you really talk about Kendricks and D'Amico Ryans, the inside linebacking core. This will be the first time that we see them together on the field at the same time this season. So that is going to be exciting. But let's remember, all these guys are coming off injuries, so they're not going to go out there and be fresh. It's going to take them some time, but I think few games into the season, halfway through, we're going to be very happy.
Yeah, and what's the point that you wanted? Well, I know pre-show you were talking about Ryans, so I wanted you to talk about what you were thinking earlier and what to expect.
Yeah, well, this kind of ties in with Alonso and Maxwell at the same time. They could struggle a little bit in this game, and people may overreact on Tuesday when they see this happen. So I just want to warn them now that if they do struggle a bit, let's not overreact. This is the first game for both guys in a new system, so it's going to take them both a little bit of time, but they are both good players, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah, and D'Amico's coming back from another Achilles tear. Those are injuries that are really, really tough to come back from. So it may take him maybe even more than a month to get reacclimated. So we're thinking a month with Alonso, maybe another month for Ryans. Just keep calm and chip on with the linebackers. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, exactly right.
All right, so let's talk about the Falcons' running game. Tevin Coleman, rookie out of Indiana, is going to make the start for him. The thing about the Eagles, it's funny with them because they do excel against zone blocking offensive lines. They brought in Kyle Shanahan as the offensive coordinator. But when the run defense does struggle, it's normally against these no-name guys. I just remember the Colts game last year and how Trent Richardson and Ahmad Bradshaw ran all over us. But then you'll have games against like the Texans. We shut down Arian Foster. We shut down DeMarco Murray. We shut down Alfred Boris. But these no-name running backs, those are the ones that kind of bite us.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we got to hope that this isn't one of those situations because, I mean, the Falcons' backfield, well, they don't have much experience. I mean, they've got 2 rookies in their backfield, and they've got Devontae Freeman, who has 1 year of experience. So, yeah, they're not bringing much experience into this game. So, but like you said, we have to worry a little bit because we do struggle against these no-name guys. But I can't expect the Falcons to really be able to run the ball with much efficiency against our defensive line.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Not in this game. The way their offensive line is, the way our front seven is going to be in the backfield pretty much all game long. I don't know if they're going to have a guy go over 50 yards rushing. So, while the no names do surprise us sometimes, I don't see it in this instance.
Yeah, not this game.
No, not at all. So, all right, we come into the game 100% healthy. Yesterday on the injury report, nobody on it. And it's funny because all off season, everybody's making fun of Chip Kelly for bringing in all these injury-prone guys. But once again, we're one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. Sports science, bitches.
Well, the smoothies have been working. So, yeah, that's for sure. The one guy, though, you have to watch out for, two guys really, is going to be Zach Ertz and Marcus Smith. Ertz, obviously, the big name here to talk about. He's coming off that, the surgery with his groin. He's been lightly practicing this week. Honestly, I would be pretty surprised if he played in this game. I really don't think there's a need for him to play in this game. And if he did play and then suffer, hurt the injury even more, then we would be crying. So no need to put Ertz out there. You got Selleck, veteran guy. He can get it done. And then you also have Trey Burton. So, watch out for Ertz. He's going to be a game time decision, but don't expect him to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if he does play, I expect the snaps to be limited. I'm not expecting, him to really play the entire game.
Yeah, no, you're right. If he does play, it won't be much. So just something to watch out there for.
Yep. All right, prediction time. We pretty much covered all bases of this game. I can't think of what else to talk about. We covered all the good matchups, all the sexy matchups. So. All right, I guess we'll start with you. What do you think? Who wins? Well, I think I know who's going to win, but give your prediction.
Yeah, well, we know that the Eagles are going to win this game. It's just a matter of how much they win by. So I think that the Eagles, they're going to come out strong. I think they're going to jump out to a big lead in this game. They might even put up 30 points in the first half. But then I think the second half, Falcons will come back a little bit. But I'm going to go with a final score of 40-27.
There you go. So you're thinking Washington Redskins, Philadelphia Eagles, Chip Kelly's debut, and how they made a statement.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to that game, and it's going to kind of play out similar, just like I said, how the Falcons, may come back a little bit in the second half, but it'll be too late.
I am right there with you. I think this is going to be a blowout, and it's funny because I'm the one that's been like the Debbie Downer all preseason, telling everyone to relax. We look so great in the preseason, but it's only preseason. It doesn't mean anything. But now we're here. It's the regular season now. And I just don't see how the Falcons are going to win this game. Now, we kind of thought that about the Jaguars game last year. Obviously, Jaguars got up 17-0, and they wound up, fading down the stretch in the second half. But I'm with you. I think we're going to get off to a really, really quick start. I mean, Falcons fans, I know you guys are going to hate me, but I think this is going to be a rout. 52-24. That is my prediction. I think we're gonna blow them out.
Well, if that happens at about 10 o'clock on Monday night, everybody in Philadelphia is gonna have a massive erection. and they're going to be dancing around the streets like we're going to the Super Bowl. So, let's tamper our expectations a little bit if, this does happen and we blow them out because it's a long season. Anything can happen. Injuries can do a lot to a team. So let's just, take it one game at a time and let's just pray that Bradford makes it through this first game. Then we can start talking about the rest of the season.
Yeah, I can already see it, man, because I do think we're going to blow them out. And I know our fans are going to be calling into the radio stations. Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're the best team in the league, blah, 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 blah. But we should blow this team out. This team is not very good. It's not the same Falcons team that's gone to all those NFC championship games that went to the playoffs under Mike Smith. This team is not really good on defense. There is no way their defense can stop our offense.
Yeah, and we're really getting the Falcons at a good time because we talked about some of the new guys on defense, and we talked about new guys on their offensive line. So it's a good time for us to get the Falcons.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. So we're both thinking route, and, we'll see what happens. So I guess, do you want to read off your tidbits that you have, some notes for the Eagles?
Yeah, just, some quick notes here about the Eagles-Falcons game. The Eagles have won each of their last 4 regular season openers and have scored 30 or more points in 3 of the 4 victories. So you can expect the Eagles to put up a lot of points in this one, just like we said. And the other one was, Philadelphia will open their road slate of games on Monday Night Football for the 3rd consecutive season, and the team has won each of its last 3 Monday night matchups. So, judging by the notes, it seems like the Eagles should come out flying in this game.
Yeah, and I also believe, off the top of my head, the Eagles have won 4 of the last 6 meetings against the Falcons, although Atlanta, I believe, has won the last 2.
Yeah, Atlanta has won the last 2, actually.
Yeah, so there you go. All right. This is like an interesting little matchup. We had the NFC Championship game. You talked about earlier the Monday night fiasco opening up the 2005 season. Jeremiah Trotter gets kicked out before the game even starts.
Yeah, that was actually, it was a Trotter, and I had to go back and look who it was, but it was Kevin Mathis, the cornerback for the Falcons. They got into a little bit of a scuffle before the game, so they were both ejected, and that was quite the way to start the season there. So let's hope that we don't, Bradford is not getting into an argument before the game, but I don't think we have to worry about that with Bradford.
Oh man, so yeah, we had that game, lost 14-10, and the other one I remember off the top of my head is the first game that Andy Reid lost after a bye week. He was like, what was it, like 9, 10, 11-0, heading, the game after the bye, and that was, Matt Ryan coming in here. Wasn't there like a big blizzard or something, or it was like really, really cold that day? Nobody thought Atlanta was going to come in here and win. They were a dome team from the South coming in here, and then they just, they tore us apart.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, oh boy, let's we've got a pretty good history here against the Falcons, some memorable moments. So, let's hope that we can snap this mini 2-game skid with them.
Well, I think we will. So I really do. And then that's going to lead to Dallas in week 2. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll be exciting. Let's just get through this game first, and then it'll be Dallas week.
Absolutely. All right, so we covered the game pretty well, pretty extensively. it might be final thoughts time. I can't think of any other topics that we want to talk about, unless there's something else that's on your mind.
No, I think it's final thoughts time, and this is more of a comment more than a thought. Just the one guy that I'm really going to be watching in this game against the Falcons is going to be Eric Rowe, because in the preseason he's the guy that he struggled big time. Now, being a second round pick, you hope that a second round pick pans out. Obviously, preseason for a rookie guy is going to struggle, but the Eagles really need to see him develop as the season goes along. So I'm really interested to see what the Eagles do with that, slot cornerback spot and how they work Rowe into the system.
You know what? That's a good point. I completely forgot to talk about that. I actually wrote it in the notes, and yeah, we didn't talk about it. So we will talk about it right now. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, so the third preseason game, that was the game where they experimented with Eric Rowe on the outside in nickel situations. Nolan Carroll played inside. So is that kind of what you're expecting against the Falcons?
Yeah, from what I can tell, it looks like that Carroll is going to be, playing in the slot, and you're going to see Rowe on the outside. Kind of an interesting thing to keep an eye on here is it looks like that Rowe actually practiced a little bit at safety on Wednesday. I don't know what they would think. Maybe sometime, down the road this season, maybe they try Rowe at safety. Now, why they would do that is because they have Walter Thurman, who obviously has experience, playing that slot cornerback spot. So we'll see what happens, but I'm interested to see how they fit Rowe into this scheme.
Yeah, and the other thing to kind of expect, I could definitely see them, having Jenkins and Thurman take a lot of the snaps in the slot to kind of hide Rowe, because I can see the Falcons trotting 3-4 wide receiver sets out there and just attacking Rowe all night. And if that happens, you don't want that. So I can see them trying to slide those guys into the slot more, take some more snaps, and because Rowe, I don't think he's ready right now.
Yeah, no. Well, if there's a few ways that the Falcons could have a shot in this game, and one of them being Julio Jones just killing us, going off for like 3 touchdowns. Another way is us turning the ball over. A third way would be them just being able to feast on Eric Rowe all night long. So I can't believe that we almost forgot about him, because he could actually turn out to be a crucial part of this game. So the Eagles early on, they really, really need to help Rowe out. I feel like if they throw him out there a lot, he's just going to get burned.
Yeah, and he'll be going up against Roddy White if he does play outside. So that's a really tough matchup. Veteran experience there with White. He's 33 now. He's not what he used to be, but he's still a really solid receiver, and he's a guy that I would expect to beat Rowe all night.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So something to watch out for there.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe they put EJ Biggers in the slot, but that I can't stand EJ Biggers. So I don't know if I would have any confidence with him in the slot, which goes back to like why we even cut Jalen Watkins. I even though he stunk in the preseason, I still think I was still surprised that he got released. So we'll see. Nolan Carroll, I think may be okay. Obviously he's not great, but I definitely have more confidence with Carroll out there than Rowe.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. So it's good. They're really going to mix and match. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's not going to be a set scheme there on the defense with how they rotate the guys.
Yeah, and to kind of stress this point again with Rowe, the growing pains are expected for rookie cornerbacks, especially for a guy that only played 1 year of corner in college. He's struggling early on. A lot of receivers are getting a lot of separation at the top of the routes against him. But, it's not all too surprising. It's expected, really.
Yeah, well, you just talked about there how the receivers are getting separation at the top of the route, and throughout the whole preseason, that was the main thing that was stressed over and over again by Mike Mayock. He did a great job of pointing it out. So the good thing about that is that he's committing the same mistake over and over again. So that means that it's fixable. They can go look at the tape and they can work on it. They know what they have to, work on with Rowe. So it's going to take some time, but I feel once he, is able to close that separation, he'll be all right.
Yeah, you can see the talent. That there is something there, and he's doing a solid job in run defense. So I think he's been okay there. It's just, the separation thing, he's got to work on it. He's got to close the gap a little bit.
Yeah, so that's Rowe.
All right, so now we have covered everything. Wow, I'm shocked we took 30-some minutes to finally talk about that, but there we go. All right, so now we will get into final thoughts time. So now you have to think of something else to talk about.
Well, it's Thursday night, the first NFL game of the season, and well, you know that everybody in New England is going to be jacked up for this game. Their balls are actually going to be overinflated for this game because they're going to be so excited that who knows what they'll do when they see Tom Brady run out on that field. I am sure that, a lot of those New England fans would do a lot of things to Tom Brady that I don't want to know about. So I am definitely cheering for the Steelers in this game. The Patriots are a bunch of cheaters, so Steelers all the way.
Yes, sir, baby. Let's go Steelers. Who would have thought? I hate both teams, man. I hate both.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of both, but definitely going against the Patriots in this game.
Yeah.
So it's going to I mean, the NFL got what they want. They're going to get the ratings, and it's going to be an interesting broadcast.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And they got Brady back, so good for NBC.
Yep, so the drinking game tonight is every time that they talk about Deflategate or talk about deflating footballs, you have to take a drink. So you can expect to be wasted after the first quarter.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of alcohol poisoning throughout the entire country.
Yes, that's for sure.
All right, so let's end this show now. Good show today. Extensive preview of Falcons-Eagles for Monday night. So with that being said, that's Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Fedke. Go Birds, and we're thinking route. So let's see it happen.
Go Birds.
Later.